Okay, so this is going to be what you guys asked for to understand the format for the paper. So hopefully in this video I'm going to show you how to set up the paper formatting for the paper that's due. And this is again the SBL format, which is the Society for Biblical Literature. Now we'll tell you from the start that places like even Freed-Hardeman University do not use the SBL format for the undergrad, but they do for the master's program. And so that's always been a discrepancy, and I think a crime, because once you get into the master's program, then you have to learn a whole new formatting. So hopefully with this, I want you guys to be familiar with it. One is because it's just the way that upper grad universities in theology do it in the U.S. And like I said, I'm going to help you with the formatting part anyway. Okay, so I've shared the screen. We'll shrink those. And let's see, where do we want to go first? I believe I have emailed you the formatting. Let's see. Okay, I believe I sent this to you at one point. This is a student, you see here, student supplement for the SBL Handbook of Style. And so you see here, it's done by the SBL, the Society for Biblical Literature Press. And again, you may or may not care, but this is a effort to get all formatting for all theological universities, no matter what denomination or whatever, to come together and say, hey, let's do one formatting when we do papers on theology. So that's what's happened. Of course, you can read all that if you want to. This kind of gives you an idea. So how do you do headings and subheadings? Well, here it is. You guys probably won't have many because you're only doing 5 pages. Footnotes, okay? So here's one thing here you'll need to know is that footnote are done in 10-point fonts, where the rest of the paper is done in a 12-point font. And again, I'm not sure if they mention it in here, but we're going to do the Times New Roman font, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. This shows you how to reference biblical stuff. Okay, just some stuff there, and again, I'm going to help you. Now here we get into the format. So here's the title page, and you see here it's about 2 inches from the top, which if you want to do the metric system, I don't care. I actually prefer the metric system myself, but the Society for Biblical Literature is based in the United States, so they're going to confuse everyone and use the old English inch. 1 inch is about 5 centimeters. So between here and here is 5 centimeters or 2 inches. And of course here you're going to put Asian Christian University, and you see here that everything is in caps. Okay, you want to capitalize this. Again, another 2 inches, you go down, and let me make this smaller. Whoops, not that smaller. Let's see. Okay, that's as small as it's going. So allow another 2. Okay, so here's 2 inches. Everything in caps on the title. So the name of your paper. Okay. Now this means double space. So if your title is a long title, then you want to make your first line here, and then you double space the next line. Okay, so 2 more inches or 5 centimeters, and you will say this exactly: submitted to Jeremy Barton in partial fulfillment of New Testament Survey 211. Okay, all in caps, but notice here it's single spaced. And then here 2 more inches or 5 centimeters, and then your name, by your name and the date. Put the date that it's due. Okay, put the due date here, and again there'll be 2 inches here or 5 centimeters. All right, so again here, this may be kind of confusing. That's why I wanted to go do an actual example here. So here I've got a working paper, and I believe I've sent you this, and if I haven't, I will send you this. Okay, this is a paper that I did last quarter, and you can use this as your format. So here you see you have it. So I'm going to send this to you, and all you have to do is change that, and then whatever your title is, let's see, let me make sure I got it right here. Okay, now whoever's doing I did doctrine. I want you to look at this word doctrine. Somebody did doctrine in the New Testament. So I want you to look specifically at this word in the New Testament, okay, and see what it means, and just do a little 5-page thing on it. Okay, so you see here 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Now, how do you know? Okay, well, I tell you what I do is I just kind of space it out, and then I print it, and then I measure it. I get a ruler and I just measure it. Okay. Submitted to, this was my professor, Dr. Edwards. I'm not a doctor, so you can just put Jeremy Barton will be fine. In partial fulfillment of, like I said, New Testament Survey 211 or 211 New Testament Survey. Then your name and the due date here. Now, on your first page, okay, your first page is, again, 2 inches or 5 centimeters from there to there. And you write your subheading if you want to. You don't have to have one. You could just go right into it. Okay, but I did. I had an introduction. Now, what's unusual is the first, okay, you see here it's actually double spaced here between this heading and your next thing. Here, I want you to notice your first paragraph of your first paper is not indented. You see, I didn't indent that. It's not indented, so you're going to start here with your first paragraph. Now notice between here and here is double spaced. Now, in case you don't know how to double space, you'll go here to either, let's see, some versions may have page setup. Mine has a layout. And here I'm going to click on this arrow here. That brings out the spacing. And here I want to double space. Okay. And so I know that when I do the next line, you see it's automatically going, when I hit enter from there to there, it automatically double spaces. So you'll notice between the headings and your main body, it's actually 2. You know, you hit enter or return twice. Here, bump, and then you get here. Obviously, you don't hit enter here because the word format will automatically do it. Let's see, here I want you to notice that the paragraphs are indented. They're not justified. Okay, this is justified where it would make it even here and here, but not in SBL format. Here you want to keep it aligned to the left. Okay. Now what about from here to here? Well, if you go to layout or page setup, you go to your margins, and I just go here to put them in myself. Again, mine's in English, so 1 inch at the top, or you could do 2.5 centimeters, however your thing is. From the bottom, the same, right the same, left the same. Now that's except this first page, right? Because you know this is not 1 but 2. So here I have to double it. But you'll see that the next page you see is just 1 inch. 1 inch here, or 2.5 centimeters from here to here, and 2.5 from here, 2.5 from here, and 2.5 from here. Okay, now once you set those margins here, that'll be for all the pages. So on the first page you'll have to do, you'll have to bring it down here and start. Okay, so here now footnotes. Okay, how do you do your footnotes? Well, MBL, usually you would put in parentheses the name of the author and then the page number, but here we're going to do footnotes down here. Okay, well, Word will automatically do that for you. If you go to reference, okay, so let's say you're going along and you want to cite a quote. Okay, so let's say someone said, Jesus is the Savior we have been looking for. Okay, that's, someone actually said that. And let's say you want to make sure you put this quote, you want to cite the source. Cite the source, you want to give this guy credit who said this. So once you get finished with that, you would hit insert footnote. And it automatically draws you down here. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Okay, it automatically draws it here. Okay, now, well, why is it right here? Well, I've already got, see, this is 3, and 2 and 1 I've already have up here. So that's what's good about Word, is it'll actually work with you and know what you're talking about. Now here's the only difference. You see how this is here and this is over here. So here I'm going to space it really about 10 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And then I'm going to move this over here. Watch my cursor. And then I'm going to do one more space. And then so I would cite the source. Okay. Jeremy Smith or whatever. Okay, now you'll get this format here too that you see for books. Well, anybody, books or journal articles, you do the first name and then the last name. Do you see that? Andrew Clark, Ben Witherington III, William Arden Hoist Baltz. Okay, so you do it by first name and then last name. Books have a comma. You put the name of the book in italicized here. There's no space here. I mean, there's a space but no comma. Parentheses, the city where it was published, the publisher who published it, comma, the year it was published, close of parentheses, comma, space, page number, and then period. Okay, and these are all the same. See how all these are the same here? Now this one's a little different because what I did here, let's look what I did in 4. The word parakaleo in 1 Corinthians 1:10 does not only mean plead, but also urge, implore, entreat. 4. So what I'm doing is in a Greek, well, not a Greek, but any dictionary, for instance, the person doing doctrine, he may want to define what doctrine is. So when you do a dictionary, you may do that a little differently. And I'll work with you on that too. You know, I know I'm giving you a lot of details, but I promise you, we're going to help you get through this. And so mainly you're going to cite the word, because really we don't care much about a dictionary. It's not as important as these people who are writing books. So on here you just write, you know, who the author is, who wrote the dictionary, the word that you were looking up, where you got it, the page number, period. And again, you can use this one as your template, right? Your template or your guide. All right, so I want you to look here. Remember this one here? Well, what if I said, you know what, I don't really want to put that quote in there, so I'm going to back up and get rid of it. Now, as soon as I got rid of that quote, look right down here. See, 3 is gone. It moved up 3, and it actually changed all these footnote numbers here because it's going to number it automatically. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need that. I was just showing you that. So there's the template. You can use this template. So when I send this to you, you want to save it, okay, somewhere, however you guys do it. And then you want to save it like Jeremy's template, okay? And then you want to save it again as your own template, okay? And so you'll always have one to go back and refer to, and then one you can start manipulating and, you know, start deleting. You know, so you want to delete all this stuff because it doesn't really mean anything to you. Okay, so I delete it, and of course I can delete it. Let's see, where did it end? Okay, so here's where it ends. So if I highlight all this, okay, I may want to delete it right up to there. And then you see everything's all that's left my bibliography. Okay, of course I want to do that because I still want to show you some stuff. Okay. So that's how you do that. Now, one of the things, and I mentioned the numbering, is tricky with SBL because Word doesn't know SBL format. Okay, so whoever can invent an SBL format for Word would make a lot of money. So you got to do some little tricks. One of the things SBL does is the first page is number 1 here at the bottom. Okay, so you see up here at the top there's no number 1, but there is down here. And then the next page is 2. Okay, so you'll already have this template, okay, but what I want to show you is this is how I set this up in case you get all mixed up and you can't figure out where the numbers come from. These numbers are in here by word, okay. Now how did I get those numbers in there? Well, I went to insert, and then I went page number, and I went to the top of the page over here on the right hand upper corner, you see. All right, but Word doesn't know that on the first page I want it here, but on the other pages I want it here, okay? So what I've got to do on the first page is I've got to do some tricks for Word. Now what I'm going to do here is kind of weird. You see that square? I'm going to move this square, and look what I've done. It actually has 1 right here, okay? So what is this? This is a text box. So what I've done here is I drew a text box. Okay. Now this doesn't really work here because, well, yeah, okay, so, okay, good. Now it's working because I just kind of drag it over there on the 1, right? And I'm gonna hide the 1 with this text box. Okay, now when I click away, I see I have a square, right? So that's not good. So if I left click on it, but then I right click, I go to outline, and I'm gonna make the box color white, the outline white. And you see it covers it up, and you don't see the one, but we know it's there, and that other one is there too. So I'll go ahead and just delete that one. So the other one is right here. You see, and I've just kind of, when I click on it and drag it around, and I hide it. Okay. Now down at the bottom, I've done the same thing, except what I've done is, you see that? I made a text box, another text box. So I'm going to insert, I'm showing you how I did this one. So I inserted this one, and then, so you can type in there. So what I did is I typed 1. Now one of the things I wanted to make sure that it's in Times New Roman, and I want 12, okay? And I may want to just kind of shorten it up some. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase this one because I've made this one from scratch, okay? And what I may want to also do is center it, so it's right in the center. Okay, so I center it and just kind of, estimate. My word actually has this green line that pops up that shows you the center, but I'm not really concerned. Just get it down at the bottom on the center. And the same thing, so I'm going to right click, I'm going to click on the outline, I'm actually going to change the color of the outline, and there I am. Now it looks like Word actually did exactly what I want to do, but I really didn't, because here's that square. Now how do I get that square to show up? Well, I just highlight everything and it shows up, see there, so I know where it's at. If you ever lose it, that's where it's at. Can't find this one, okay, so you just have to highlight everything, and there it is. Because you can't change the pages here, because here you want the majority of it to be over here, and Word doesn't know not to change 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 or 5, leave it the same. Alright, so there's 2, 3, 4, and you just look at this. Now what about this line and stuff that you see here? Well, Word automatically does that. It's going to automatically put all these headers in here for you. And you see here how they need to be spaced out, spread out, and Word does do them like that. Notice here too that this is single space, which I think is defaulted. So it's single here. It should show up as, this is called superscript, where it's twice as small. Okay. And so I'm just kind of showing you here what it looks like going through the paper. You see my page numbers up here on the body of the paper. And there's all my footnotes. And again, see, I messed up right here. This isn't my final paper. This was one of my drafts that I did. Okay, just make sure everything's lined up. Now, how do you know? Let's see. Here's one of the tricks I do. How do you know that these numbers are lined up? What I usually do is click on one, and then I use the arrow key up to see if they're all lining up. Okay, I just keep going. I wish I had a camera to show you what button I'm pushing, but this is the arrow keys on the keyboard. Okay, so that's how I know. Or like I said, I can bring these over all the way till I can't go anymore and then count off 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you only have to do that on the first one of each page maybe. Then the other ones you can kind of use your eyesight and put that on there. Okay, so again you kind of see some of these headlines, and I'm not going to be that specific. Some have to be bolded, some do not. Some are not double space and some are not, and these are kind of subheadings, but I'll fix all that for you so you don't have to worry about it if you lose it. So you probably at least want to do an introduction and then your main points and then a conclusion at least, and have that on there. And your conclusion can be really short, mine's very short. I did this I think, was it 16-page paper, and my conclusion was, was very short. Okay. Now the bibliography, which will come after all that, is here. Now bibliography works pretty much like the first page. Okay, you want 2 inches. You want 2 inches from the top. Now see the 17 left because I did the same thing over here. Look. Ooh, yeah, there it is. I hit it. You see, it's not there. It disappeared. 2 inches or 5 centimeters from the top. 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch here, or 2.5 centimeters. From the top here, my number's probably a little, I probably need to bring it down just a little bit, but 1 inch here. So I did the same thing, right? So this is page 17, but on a bibliography page, it's much like the title page. So you cover that up there. That's done. Then down here at the bottom, I created, remember that text box, and then I move this wherever I want to, right in there. All the bibliography pages are like that. This one I hadn't finished, so it's out of whack. But I know there's a square somewhere here, so if I hold down my left click and I highlight everything, I might be able to, okay, see, I found it. You see it? You see it right here? Here it is. It was hidden. So I'll try to grab it, and I want to bring it back down to hide that page. And then this one's good. This one's probably the same place. Yeah, so it's here. Okay. All right, so that's how you do the bibliography page and everything, okay? Now, I know this is probably asking a lot in a little different format, but, like I said, the only thing I can do is help you as much as you want. Really trying to think. No one has really contacted me to say, Sir Jeremy, I need you to help me study this, or any points on the test, or so, I can't help you unless you want to help yourself. And so this is basic instruction on how you do the format, and I'm going to send this template to you so that you will have it, and you'll be able to just use that as your template. Now again, I'm going to caution you on your paper is that I gave you guys really broad topics, okay, because I wanted you to have a lot of information so you wouldn't be searching for a lot of information. But you may want to consider choosing one part of the topic and then writing about it, because sometimes, for instance, if I told you write a 5-page paper on Jesus, well, I mean, where in the world would you start, you see? So you may want to talk about the miracles of Jesus. You see, narrow it down. Even that, is just so much information. But my main point in this is on the writing of the paper is it teaches you how to do research, how to put together a working writing paper, that's in English. I mean, I understand this is not your primary language. English is, it's hard enough for me to write a paper in English. So I understand the difficulties. It's a lot easier to speak English and to read English, but when you start writing English and grammar and that sort of thing, then it gets pretty bad. But now again, there's going to be really no excuse for you not to have a good paper, because I'm going to help you write it. Okay, I know a lot of you are first-year students, and you're going to need a lot of help. And I know you've probably written papers in high school in English, but writing to someone who is a native English speaker and writer, is something different. Because I'm going to know, I'm going to know the grammar and the structure and be more aware of it than maybe a Filipino native who knows English. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've been wrong before, but that's okay. So I'm trying to think of anything else. So that's the paper, and that's the format. So just go ahead and start formatting your paper and taking all your notes. Just do your research by looking up, writing down the information. Make sure whatever book you go to, you get information, that you always write down the source information, the name of the book, the author, the place where it was published, the publisher, who published the book, in what year. Put that on your notes, because if you write a note and you're like, well, I can't remember where this come from, then that's going to be pretty bad. So obviously, you don't want to plagiarize. If you guys understand what that is, that's a big no-no. That means that you read something in a book, and then you put it in your paper, and you don't put in there who wrote or who gave this idea. Okay, it doesn't have to be a quote. It doesn't have to be a direct word-for-word quote. But if you get that idea from another source, then you need to make sure that person or persons get credit for that. Okay. Now, obviously, just about all your sources will come from a source. All your information in this will come from the source. One thing, too, I wanted to mention while we're here, you want to avoid first person. And I would say, really, you want to avoid it, period. Okay? So you'll notice in this paper, look at all this crazy stuff right here. You'll notice in this paper there is no words like I think that, or we should do this. You see things like, or you should read more. You see, there's none of that. That's called first and second person. Okay, but we want third person. In English, that's called third person. So it's not, I'm not talking to someone, but it's third person where it's general. Okay, so if you want to say, we should all obey the, well, I can't, okay. I'm not a good typer, I guess you can see. Doctrine of Christ. If you want to say this, the way you word it is, you do this. A person or the people of the world should obey the doctrine of Christ. See, it really means the same, but it's in a different person. Okay, and that makes the text more less personal, because when you get into personal, you get things like this. I think it will warm my heart, should all obey the gospel, the doctrine of Christ. Well, okay, good, that's good for you, but really we don't care about that. Okay, I think see, this type of language, warm my heart, or this is what we call touchy-feely. Okay, touchy-feely. And that's great when you're talking about this, but when you're doing an academic paper, your feelings are really, we don't really care about your feelings. Okay. I know that's kind of weird to say, but when you do this, we should all obey the gospel for Christ commands it, you know, something like that. Anyway, that's just a general tip, and I'll help you with that when you send me your paper and when you have it more where I can use it. Okay, I guess that's it. I really wish, wouldn't it be great? I really wish I could be there with you 24 hours, 7 days a week to meet with each of you and help you do the research to, you know, help you, encourage you. But we got to do it like we have, you know, there's just no other way of doing it. You know, I have work here to do in the United States, but I wish I could just work with you on this. The object here is for you to learn something, learn how to do research and stuff, but I can't. Okay, so I'll stop there. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. We're back and we're gone, and goodbye.